Hey guys, welcome along to Hellmouth Hotline. I'm your host, Rodney Stewart. Now we're getting very, very close to the end of the reviews on the Hammer House of Horror, and I'm just curious if you happen to be listening to these podcasts, have you got any suggestions for something to go on to next, horror related? Any suggestion would be very, very welcome, so please get in contact with me via the email at hellmouthhotline@gmail.com, and I'll see what I can do for you. So let's get into this episode. This is the Carpathian Eagle. This episode is Carpathian Eagle, and we're coming up very close to the end of the Hammer House of Horror box set, and there's only 2 more episodes after this one. And I did say it in the last episode that I did think I found the weak link in the series, and so far I have to say Carpathian Eagle has proven to be that so far for me. This was nothing drastically great in this episode. Basic synopsis of it is a serial killer rips out the heart of his victims, and Detective Inspector Clifford is in charge of the investigation without any lead. While listening to the radio, he becomes aware of a bestseller in which the killer also removes the heart of his victims, and Clifford meets the writer, Natalie, and she tells him that the character was based on a countess that lived centuries ago. Clifford asks for an appointment with the descendant, Mrs. Henska, who becomes his suspect number 1. Although under investigation, the murders do not stop, and Clifford tries to find all her clues. That little synopsis came from IMDb. Stars Anthony Valentine, Suzanne Daniel, Cyan Phillips, Barry Stanton. It is, don't get me wrong, it's a very good episode. It's incredibly well written. The acting in this episode is probably some of the strongest in the series so far, but the actual way that it was shot didn't leave anything to the imagination. Like, the first thing that struck me at the beginning of the episode, you see the first murder happening, and the guy's pulling parallels from this book. The killer is a man. The first killing we see is by a woman, and it's kind of like a Basic Instinct sort of a vibe going on here. But when we meet the author of the book and the second killing that we see, they don't bother to try and hide who the killer is. It spoils itself at the very beginning, well, pretty much at the very beginning, like 15 minutes into this episode. You, as the viewer, know exactly who the killer is, and I think this episode would have went a lot smoother and better for the viewing experience if they held back a little bit longer and given the viewer the answer as to who the killer was. They didn't do that. Kind of destroyed the episode for me, but again, very well written, very well acted, and yes, basically this writer finds an idea for a new novel to do with murder, basically, and kind of self-promotes the book by becoming a copycat killer of the person she's writing about, and it's kind of like, self-promotion through murder sort of deal going on here. And that's confirmed at the end of the episode when she's almost caught before the end of the episode by this inspector, but she has managed to cover her tracks that well. Whenever they do confront her on the subject, they think they've got the proof, but actually come within a hair of getting it, and then she gets away without being accused of anything. So she takes out the inspector in the exact same way, takes him out of the equation, and done so artfully that the rest of the police force still have no idea who she is. And the end of the episode is her going, find a new subject of a murderer, and the closing scene is her, for the first time, getting dressed up as this new killer alter ego. Again, guys, it's not a fantastic episode, but you know, if you're a completist, you get the box set, you want to watch the whole thing, this is definitely worth checking out. But you know, going in ahead of time, I don't believe I've really spoiled this one for you, because the episode very, very swiftly spoils itself for you by giving away the killer far too quick in it. You know, again, I feel if they had kept her identity as a killer a secret for longer into the episode, you know, it would have definitely been a better viewing experience. But yes, you can't win them all, guys. Hopefully the last 2 episodes in this box set make up for this one. This has been a production of Coins